So Matt, it's been terrific meeting with you this morning, and we know that the federal government has made history recently by appointing you as the Assistant Minister for the Republic, so congratulations. And it's really the clearest demonstration of support for an Australian Republic from a federal government in more than 20 years. And look, I was keen to hear from you this morning how strong you think the government's commitment is to making progress on an Australian Republic.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to have a chat, Sandy, and I want to congratulate you and all of the members of the Australian Republic movement for the wonderful job that you do in promoting this very important cause. I think by virtue of the fact that I've been selected to take on this role and a member of the executive of the new Albanese Labor government is a clear demonstration of just how serious the Prime Minister is and members of the government to progress this issue. As you know, our priority for this term of Parliament is the voice to Parliament and constitutional recognition of First Nations Australians. And I'm hopeful that we're successful with that referendum. And then the next natural progression that Australia needs to take as a nation is to look to have one of our own as our head of state. And it's my job to slowly and methodically bring this issue back onto the agenda, generate discussion once again about it so that in a second or third term of Parliament, we're ready to go on this issue and hopefully we can be successful in a referendum in the future.
What's your personal journey to supporting a republic? What's the thing that motivates you most in terms of the issue about an Australian
Well,
republic?
I've been a member of the ARM and a Republican since my university days. So we're coming up close to 30 years now, unfortunately. I was inspired by people like Paul Keating and the vision that he had for our country and the fact that we do now make our decisions independent of Great Britain. We govern ourselves. We're a mature, independent nation with our own unique identity and culture. And I see it as fundamentally the next stage of development for our nation, for us to have one of our own as our head of state. And there's two issues that really inspire me on a daily basis. I've got 4 young daughters. They can aspire to do whatever they want in Australia, and that's the great thing about our nation. But they can't aspire to be our nation's head of state, the most important role under our constitution. And I think that's a great shame. The other factor is that First Nations Australians have inhabited Australia and these waterways and nurtured and cared for this land for close to 50,000 years. Yet one of them cannot be our nation's head of state. That's ridiculous. It's completely outdated. And they're the inspiration that I have on a daily basis to try and progress this issue and work with the Australian people to unite around the notion of one of our own as our head of state.
That's terrific. Yeah, look, what do you see as the opportunities over the next term of Parliament for an Australian Republican to bring the campaign forward over that time?
Yeah, as I said, our priority will be the voice to Parliament, but we're going to slowly bring this issue back onto the agenda. And I'm keen to work with the ARM and other organisations to launch an education campaign around our constitutional arrangements and our head of state at the moment. Since 1999, we estimate that there's about 5 million new voters that have come onto the electoral roll in Australia. And they weren't around for that intense debate that we had in 99. And particularly younger generations of Australians aren't au fait with the fact that we have a foreigner as our head of state, that we could have one of our own, that there's different models that we could look at to appoint. The fact that of the 54 nations of the Commonwealth, 34 of them are now republics. So Australia is very much in the minority, and other nations in recent years, like Barbados, have been moving with the cooperation of the royal family to become republics. So these are the issues that we've got to bring back onto the agenda, educate Australians about, so that they are informed when we launch a fair income campaign and we get into this. The other point I think that, and the opportunity we have, is that we need to take this out of the cities. It's been a very city-centric and university-educated issue, if you like. And the challenge for the ARM and for the government and the Australian people is to make sure that this issue gets more exposure and more discussion in rural and regional areas and amongst working people throughout the country. And I think that's the challenge that we all have, and I'm looking forward to working with your organisation on that.
Yeah, we're really excited to be able to work with you on that too. In January this year, we launched the Australian Choice Model, which would give all Australians a choice about who our head of state is through a nomination process of state and territory parliaments and the federal parliament nominating up to 3, so that we can all choose a head of state who represents us. At the time, we appreciated the supportive statements that you issued at the time. I think you described it as an important opportunity, for Australians to consider how we can build a better government for the future. And as we've seen for decades, there are lots of different models that have been put forward, but some, like the Australian Choice Model, have a much better chance of success at a referendum than others. What's your view? Is the government open to giving consideration to the Australian Choice Model as it plans its next steps towards a national vote on a republic?
Yeah, we don't have a preference for a model at this stage, but we certainly welcome the ARM's research and the consultation that you've done with the Australian people. I think it's the most comprehensive discussion and research that's been done on this for close to 25 years. And there's 2 points that I'd make about it. It's firstly that research, and we're keen to explore that further with the ARM. And secondly, I think the other great benefit of your model is that you've clearly defined the powers of a future head of state, and that's important for the education piece that's coming up. And it's great that the organisation launched that in January of this year. It sparked a debate, and that people got thinking about it once again. And that's what we need to do over the course of the next few years to bring this issue back onto the agenda and hopefully work towards a successful referendum.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to working with you on that. And we're obviously working hard as an organisation. You're working hard as a minister now to be able to drive this issue forward. What's something that you think individuals across the country can do, to help, to get involved, to help bring this forward?
Well, they could certainly look to join the Australian Republic movement. That'd be fantastic to be part of the campaign and formally part of it. I've been overwhelmed by the emails that I've been receiving from the Australian people offering their views, offering different models, some really novel approaches, and I welcome that. But I think fundamentally what we need to do is make sure that we're taking opportunities to discuss this in our families, in our friendship networks, and in the wider community as much as we possibly can. Good campaigns, I say, are like snowballs. They get bigger and bigger as they go on and as they roll down the hill. And that's our challenge. It's going to start small, but we're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger over time. And that's up to individuals, and it's up to the Australian people to be part of that conversation and to spur that conversation on. I want to get to a situation where the government is inspired by the Australian people to bring this issue back onto the agenda and to have a public campaign and to put it as a referendum. I think that'd be great for our nation to unite around the fact that we can have one of our own as our head of state.
Terrific. Well, look, it's been fantastic speaking with you, and we're looking forward to working with you to keep that momentum going, to build that snowball and get that rolling downhill. And as we just heard, thank you for the plug for the ARM. It's a great way for people to get involved in the campaign, and we're really looking forward to working with you into the future on this campaign and over the next term of Parliament.
Thanks, Sandy, and looking forward to working with your organisation and its members.